Specifically, if you have a prosecutor that has a history for the past 2.5 years that's been lying to protect these officers, you have to release the communication. Brady versus Maryland entitles the defense to have the communication. But the presiding judge denied the communication. Specifically, presiding judge, Judge Carol Weimer, denied the communication to be released. And Brad Haywood didn't push back on it. I find that disturbing, and it shows what this defense attorney are really doing in the Mostafa Aljazari case. I mean, he's brought in to contain this case. The more you find out what is coming out of this case and Brad Haywood's defense attorney, Brad Haywood, involvement in the Mostafa Aljazari case, you find out that the county brought this defense attorney only to patch up this case for the county. How do you explain that he's granted the Brady motions only to go behind closed doors and tell the prosecutor, you don't have to give me the missing body cams? That's working with the prosecutor. All right, so let's dive into the transcript and what's being said in court about the missing body cams. And what you want to look for, what you want to look for is three things. So far, we've answered the first question. Is the police department cutting and splicing body cam before uploading them to the server? Absolutely. We're looking at those body cams cut before being uploaded to the server. The second question you want to ask, does the prosecutor know about the body cams that are missing? I mean, the prosecutor has those body cams in the server. I mean, you're telling me that we're doing more investigation into the Mostafa Aljazari case more than the prosecutor herself? I mean, those body cams are in the server. That's where I got them from. Evidence.com, the police department server. Whatever I have access to, the prosecutor has access to. And if we can see that these body cams are cut and muted, the prosecutor is watching that these body cams have been cut and muted by the police department. And the real question is, as a prosecutor, why have you not asked the police department for the missing body cams? Unless you're in cahoots with this police department. You're protecting that police department and what they've done in falsifying this case. And the way we can get to the bottom of it is by releasing your communication. As a matter of fact, we don't need your communication to find out that you know about the missing body cams, and the fact that you're not asking for the body cams, missing body cams, you're in cahoots with them to protect that police department. I found it interesting when I was in court. Judge Carol Weimer would tell Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, orders her to go in and ask the police department for the missing body cams. And she's sitting there telling him, Your Honor, I'll go ahead and do that, but this is all the body cams that exist. But I'll go ahead and ask the police department if there is any missing body cams. And then right behind her is sitting Internal Affairs, Captain Doodley, with Prince William County Police Department Internal Affairs. And after court, she's sitting there with him, telling him that there are no missing body cams. And I gave everything to the defense attorney. Wait a minute. You were just told by the presiding judge that you were going to ask Internal Affairs. And what she actually did is she's reassuring by her telling him there are no more missing body cams. By her telling Internal Affairs, she's reassuring him that she's not interested in the missing body cams. But, I'll tell you, she's comfortable because her communications are not released. But your communication, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck, is going to be released to the defense. And we're going to get to the bottom of what you've done in the Mostafa Aljazari case. Well, you're going to find out that this prosecutor is in cahoots with the officers that falsified this case. Why do you think she was shaking in court? I mean, she was terrified when the conversation came up that she has to release her communication. And she tells the judge, it's dangerous, Your Honor. It's dangerous to release my communication. I mean, as a prosecutor, why would it be dangerous to release your communication unless you know the danger is that you are going to jail? I mean, you're talking about being in cahoots with officers that falsified this case. You're talking about officers that cut and muted this dash camera, weaponized a 9, a 10, a 14, crushed and staged Mostafa's vehicle. You're talking about fake witnesses that have entered this case. What communication are we going to find that you're telling the presiding judge is dangerous for you to release it to the defense attorney? I'm not telling you to release it to me. It's being released to the defense attorney, but you are terrified and you tell the judge that it's dangerous because you know the danger is you going to jail. But we'll get to the bottom of it. Let's take a deep dive into the transcript and what is being said in court. All right. So on October 3rd, 2025, a Brady motion was litigated in court by defense attorney Brad Haywood, prosecutor Sarah Sammy, prosecutor Stephanie Buck, and the presiding judge is Judge Carol Weimer. So let's hear what they're talking about here. This is item 13 in the Brady. So item 13. All right. Brad Haywood says, Judge, sorry, I meant to add, let's make it a little bit bigger. I meant to add something on 11B, 1 through 3. Did the court make a ruling on that? Judge Weimer says, on 11B, Brad Haywood says, the defense attorney says, yes, 1 through 3. All right. Judge Weimer says the information that is expected or in actual testimony of any prosecution witness is inconsistent. Well, certainly they have that or is refuted by or fails to corroborate other information known to the Commonwealth, as well as evidence regarding the circumstances of witness statement that indicates a lessened degree of reliability, whether or not the Commonwealth intend to call them to testify. All right, so here they're talking about the individuals that are being used as witnesses. I'm not sure that you're asking for, quite frankly. I mean, you need to explain a little more. I mean, it's inconsistent statement and inconsistent statement of people that aren't going to be witnesses. All right, so Judge Weimer is asking Brad Haywood. Brad Haywood, the defense attorney, tells Judge Weimer, and this is page 20 on the Brady motion on October 3rd, 2025. All right, so Brad Haywood, the defense attorney, tells Judge Weimer, actually, yes, because a lot of them were. You know, they're part of the investigation, and whether or not they're going to be called as witnesses. I'm sure the ones that actually gave inconsistent statement may very well not be called as witnesses because they made inconsistent statement. But that doesn't mean the Commonwealth themselves didn't use that information in conducting their investigation or developing probable cause or in providing that testimony or that information before the grand jury, or that those inconsistent statements, if a person who is spreading honestly misinformation about the factual allegation, which happened a lot, I think even probably in the Commonwealth estimation that happened, those people would be potentially somebody that the defense would want to call to. They would be adverse witnesses, and we would be able to call them to show how the investigation was corrupted, how the police were biased or didn't conduct a full and thorough investigation, or how the Commonwealth is simply not telling the jury the entire universe of the facts in the case. What you have going on here is what Brad Haywood is telling the court, Judge Carol Weimer, that you have individuals that entered this case, allowed by the police department, allowed by the prosecutor to testify to a story. Now, when you open those body cams, the prosecutor is in trouble because every single person that's being used as a witness is telling you, I was not there, I didn't see anything. Now, the police department, I mean, think about what's going on here. For 2.5 years, the prosecutor tells the courts that she has witnesses, and they sealed off this case. Now that I've entered the server, I've leaked the body cams, you see that every individual that's being used by the prosecution is an individual that says, I didn't see anything. Now, the question is, the police department allowed this to go on. I mean, the police department, no, these are not witnesses, but they allowed them to come in, and the prosecution sealed off those body cams. And now you have evidence that show none of these people that you have as witnesses are actually telling you anything. They're literally telling you, we were not there. I find it really interesting in a motion, now that these body cams are being leaked, these body cams were sealed, hidden from Mostafa for over 2.5 years. Mostafa doesn't know that you have a Commonwealth attorney, a prosecutor Sarah Sammy, and prosecutor Stephanie Buck are using fake witnesses. Now it's leaked. Now the whole community knows that the prosecutor is using fake witnesses. I find it really interesting and disturbing and funny at the same time. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and prosecutor Stephanie Buck wrote a whole entire motion telling you that witness one, the ex-boyfriend Glenn Ford, ran away from the state. And he says he doesn't want to testify. He no longer wants to testify. Wait a minute. And prosecutor Sarah Sammy tells the judge, Your Honor, because of this podcast, that this individual is terrified to come forward. Are we talking about the same individual that was online just the other day threatening, and I have the audio, threatening, saying that I have 2 other people with me? Glenn Ford, the ex-boyfriend, the one that she's talking about, her witness, says, I have 2 other people with me. I'm watching your podcast van, the van that you're podcasting out of, and we're about to come up on your van and physically harm you. That's your witness. Your witness is threatening me for exposing what they're doing in this case. That's your witness. Your witness is threatening me. So to put out a motion, I can't wait for this motion to be litigated.